Inside your phone is a hidden metropolis. When you zoom in far enough, a microchip reveals itself as a nanoscopic city, a grid of skyscrapers hundreds of layers tall, with billions of transistors acting as the ones and zeros of our digital world. In 1965, Intel co-founder Gordon Moore noticed a pattern. The number of transistors we could fit on a chip doubled roughly every 2 years. The logic of Moore's law is simple. Shrinking transistors means electrons travel shorter distances to do their work. That allows computers to become faster and more capable while staying the same physical size. This constant shrinking has been the engine of the tech industry for 50 years, moving us from room-sized mainframes to the high-speed processors powering modern life. But around 2015, progress hit a wall. Manufacturers used 193 nanometer ultraviolet light to print chips, but the required features were now smaller than the light waves themselves. The light was too thick to resolve the tiny patterns, resulting in a blurry, unusable mess. If engineers couldn't find a way to print smaller features, the evolution of smartphones, computers, and AI would have reached a permanent plateau. The solution came from a single company in the Netherlands called ASML and their 3,000 crore rupee EUV machine. To keep the tech industry moving, ASML engineers spent decades attempting to master a machine that pushes against the very boundaries of physics. The first hurdle was the light. Traditional ultraviolet wasn't enough. They needed extreme ultraviolet light at a wavelength of exactly 13.5 nanometers, light that is naturally absorbed by almost everything on Earth. To create it, the machine shoots 50,000 droplets of molten tin every second through a vacuum. These droplets emerge as a chaotic spray, but stabilize into perfectly uniform spheres. As they fly, a laser executes a double tap. A weak first pulse flattens the sphere into a thin pancake shape. Microseconds later, a high-power main laser pulse instantly vaporizes the tin. The resulting plasma reaches 220,000 Kelvin, roughly 40 times hotter than the surface of the sun. This process creates a violent shockwave, essentially setting off 50,000 tiny explosions inside the machine every second to generate the required 13.5 nanometer light. Harnessing this microscopic plasma storm is the only way humanity can mass-produce the specific light needed to keep transistors shrinking. But generating the light is only the start. You also have to focus it. Because EUV light is absorbed by glass lenses, engineers had to use mirrors to bounce the light toward the chip. To reflect such a tiny wavelength without scattering the photons, these mirrors had to be polished to an atomic level. For a sense of that scale, if you took one of these mirrors and expanded it to the size of the Earth, the single tallest bump on its surface would be no thicker than a playing card. To control their artificial sunlight, ASML and Zeiss had to manufacture what are likely the smoothest physical objects in the known universe. Even with the light and the mirrors, the final challenge is alignment. A microchip is built layer by layer, and each new pattern must land with total precision on the wafer. This is happening at violent speeds. The internal parts holding the patterns whip back and forth at 20 Gs of acceleration, roughly 5 times faster than a Formula One car. Despite that force, the layers cannot be misaligned by more than 1 nanometer. That is a margin of error equivalent to just 5 silicon atoms. The machine manages a difficult balance, contains the heat of a star, maintaining the stability of a microscope, repeating that entire cycle in the blink of an eye. The scientists who first proposed this technology in the 1980s were literally laughed off stages. Their peers believed that bending X-rays and creating stable plasma at this scale was a big fish story. ASML spent billions of dollars and more than a decade failing to get the components to work together before they finally reached a commercial breakthrough. Today, the advanced smartphone you are using to watch this video only exists because of the chips produced by this exact machine. Technological progress depends on people who refuse to accept the conventional limits of nature. Which part of this machine's engineering shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments.